What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Tater Talk. It's episode 87. I am your host, Justin Ledger. As always, I'm joined by Zack Hummel. Zack, what is going on?
So much, man. What's going on with you?
Not too much. We got another beautiful day. I think last time we recorded this show, we were talking about how the weather's getting nicer. It's more baseball weather. You know, it's starting to actually feel like baseball season. You know, the other sports are finally coming to an end. All the focus is going to be on baseball. So again, I'm starting this podcast right now very much in a baseball mood. I think, by the way, when it comes to be this time of year, this podcast is more upbeat. We're much more into the season where we have more of that baseball mindset. So that's where I'm at as we start this episode today.
Yeah, for anyone that likes the other sports, let me tell you what's going to happen. The Bruins are going to win the Stanley Cup. The Warriors are going to win the NBA Finals. There you go. You don't have to watch those anymore. It's baseball.
Spoiler alert.
Boys of summer. Yep.
And we are joined by Graz on the show. We didn't have him on last time, but he is back. Graz, how are you doing?
Good. Enjoying the hot weather. Got to figure out how to put an air conditioning into my window.
That is necessary. Yeah, we might want to figure that out.
Well, that's it. That's my day. That's my later me problem.
We got a loaded show today, boys. Before we get into this, we are on Spotify. So if you're listening to this from maybe Apple, Stitcher, any of the other main podcast platforms, we're finally on Spotify. So if you happen to be more of a Spotify person, you can check us out on there. Definitely just want to get into that before we get into these topics here, because that's big for us there.
I've heard of it. I've heard of Spotify.
Yeah, it's long overdue. The process for getting on Spotify used to be such a pain in the ass. You had to fill out all this stuff and they had to accept you. It was much more of an exclusive thing. Now it's just you do it the same way you do it with Apple. You do it the same way you do it with anything else, and it's much easier. So again, if you're on Spotify, which I personally prefer Spotify over Apple, that's just who I am.
Me too.
I that's where I'm going to be listening to these shows now. So if you're on Spotify, get on it, follow us on there. We'll jump into our topics now, starting with our favorite stories. As always, my favorite story since the last time we recorded is Vlad Jr. We talked about him last episode. He was struggling out the gate. His first few games in the big leagues did not go very well. It's safe to say he's picked it up since then. He had 2 homers. His first 2 homers of his career came against the Giants in that series, and he hasn't slowed down. He has 4 homers in his last 6 games. So it looks like Vlad Jr.'s coming out party is finally here.
Yeah, exactly what you said. He was struggling, and now he's started to catch his wind. You know, start to get the major league pitching. By the way, he is the thickest player in Major League Baseball.
So
I mean, he has a cake. Like,
yeah,
it's crazy. I don't know.
Love
his
it.
dad was a bit like that too. Thickest player ever to play Major League Baseball, up there with Prince Fielder, I would say.
Absolutely. He's not quite Prince Fielder. Don't give him that much credit. You know? He needs a little bit more. Needs to eat a little bit more to get to that point. But he's well on pace.
So my favorite story, one of my favorite pastimes is following Mets Twitter and seeing them explode. So they were swept in a weekend series with the Marlins 3-0. You know, Mets Twitter is ready to explode, and I just can't be here enough for it. I just love seeing Mets Twitter. Well, they want to fire everyone. They want to trade everyone. They might be the fan base that's the craziest and most delusional in Major League Baseball. They think they're this
100%.
great organization, and then they're just under 500 every year with the great pitching, with, we've revamped our lineup. We've made these trades. Just doesn't work. Doesn't work for the Mets.
The Mets are a ticking time bomb. Before this season, there was so much hype around the Mets. Like, this is the year. We got Brody. It's a new culture. Robinson Cano, you know, like all these big acquisitions we're going for it this year. Edwin Diaz going to lock down that bullpen. It's been a complete disaster so far. They actually got off to a decent start too. And they're just starting to unravel now, which is kind of strange because, I mean, it started off, DeGrom looked like his Cy Young self to begin the year. Noah Syndergaard was not even close to his normal self to begin the year. And now that's kind of switched. Now, DeGrom's looking a little bit iffy, and Thor has been awesome in his last few starts. So you can't get a read on this team other than the fact that they just got swept by the worst team in baseball. And, I mean, it happens with any team. When you get swept by a team that bad, you think the world's crumbling around you. So I'm not ready to really count out the Mets yet. There's so much baseball left. In the NL East, that's a tough division to win, but it's so crowded. That being said, it does not look great for the Mets right now.
Mickey Callaway, do you guys think he gets fired?
If it gets any more out of control than this, yes. I think if they get swept by another bad team, or if they just look like they haven't played baseball before in another series, I think it could I think it could get to that point. Yeah, for sure. I just don't know who their replacement would be.
Yeah,
It would have to
especially
be someone in the staff, like an interim manager. So,
well, this is my theory. Hear me out. So they have brought in a new GM, right? Brody Van Wagenen or whatever.
yeah.
I think, he wants to bring in his own coach. I think they fire Callaway and they bring in Joe Girardi.
I mean, I honestly think that'd probably be a better move. That might be a good move. I mean,
I don't know if Girardi wants to do it, but
yeah, probably. He's been an analyst, right? I'm pretty sure he's working for like MLB Network or something like that now.
Yeah.
I don't really know, but I don't know. Yeah, it's not looking good for the Mets right now. That's for sure. One more thing on Vlad Jr., by the way. He became the youngest ever on the Blue Jays to hit a home run. Do you see who the person before that was?
Can I guess?
You can if you want, yeah.
Youngest player in Blue Jays history to hit a home run?
Before Vlad, yeah.
Before Vlad.
I don't think you're going to guess it. If you haven't guessed it by now, you're not going to get it.
I was going to say Vernon Wells, but no.
Danny Ainge.
Danny Ainge?
Danny Ainge, the Celtics GM, played for the Blue Jays. He was formerly the youngest of the Blue Jays organization ever to hit a home run before Vlad.
Jeez, I didn't even know he played baseball. You learn something new every day.
How's that for a trivia question?
Why isn't everyone talking about this?
It kind of was a thing after Vlad hit it. It was like, oh, broke Danny Ainge's right. It was like a thing for a night, but it's going forward. That's a great trivia question.
That's a crazy stat. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. Another good trivia question would be who got their second career no-hitter this season? A guy you would really never expect to have 2 no-hitters on his resume, and that's Mike Fiers of the Oakland A's. I don't know what it is. I think it has a lot to do with like the huge foul territory in Oakland. A's pitchers just seem to pitch no-hitters every single season. I don't know if that's just me, but it seems to happen quite often. Mike Fiers is the latest to do it. He did it against the Reds. It was an impressive outing. I didn't go crazy when I saw the news. I was like, oh, good for him. It's another no-hitter to add to his resume. No-hitters don't do it for me anymore. I will say that. And I've said that a lot on this show. Unless it's a perfect game, I won't wake up for a no-hitter.
Yeah, Mike Fiers is one of these guys. He's either lights out or just gets absolutely shelled. There's no in-between. And I think it was a day game. Whenever I see a day game on the schedule, I think there could be a possibly no-hitter because the players were up late. God knows what they're doing in that city. They come out hungover. Maybe they just can't hit. Day games are the perfect recipe for no-hitters. So is he the worst pitcher in Major League history to have 2 no-hitters? I'm looking at the list now, and I think he might be.
I mean, I can't even think of who else has 2 no-hitters. Can you name a few?
Nolan Ryan.
I mean, some of these, he has 7.
I would say Mike Fiers is a little bit worse than Nolan Ryan, wouldn't you? Maybe. I mean, it's tough.
Yeah, let me go through the list here. Some of the guys that we actually know that weren't born in the 1800s. Jake Arrieta has 2. Max Scherzer, Tim Lincecum, Homer Bailey. He might. I think he's
Homer
better
Bailey
than
the worst.
Mike Fiers is better than Homer Bailey. So there you go.
Verlander, Holiday, Burley, Johnson, Hideo Nomo.
All of these guys are legends, and then you have Homer
Mike
Bailey
Fiers.
and Mike Fiers.
Yep. Lightning strikes twice for those guys.
Yeah, it does. What's Homer Bailey doing right now?
He's on the Royals, slinging it.
I thought he got released from the Royals.
Oh, he did?
I don't know.
He did.
That's why I'm asking. I don't know what he's doing right now.
Hold on.
Yeah,
he'll pop up
get
for
on
the Brewers. He'll pop up for the Brewers this week.
Yeah.
Just start.
Graz, get on that. We need to know what Homer Bailey's doing right this moment. While you're doing that, Graz, I guess we could talk a little bit about how well the Yankees are doing right now. I don't understand it, so you're going to have to kind of enlighten us on what kind of magic is happening with the evil empire over there. They're now leading the AL East. The Rays have been all year. The Yankees finally took over. The Red Sox are creeping up, though, so look out. The defending champs are creeping up. I think they're only 4.5 games out now. And you guys got that huge acquisition of Kendrys Morales. I mean, that was huge for you guys. They actually homered for you the other day. And for those listening, that's my sarcastic voice that it was a huge trade. It wasn't really a huge trade, but you guys are dealing with a lot of injuries right now, Graz. What's the outlook on this team right this moment? Are you buying into the hype?
So, quick timeout before I go into my Yankee spiel. Homer Bailey was the main pitcher on my birthday, the 16th, against the Texas Rangers, and he gave up 6 runs over 4 innings. So he's still pitching for the Royals.
He
terribly.
is. Okay.
Terribly.
Sounds about right.
By the way, they lost 16-1, mostly on his fault. Okay, Yankees wise, they're 4th in the league in pitching, and that's how they're doing it. And they're getting timely hitting with a bunch of hitters that aren't trying to just hit the ball out of the ballpark, and they're playing small ball, and they're just somehow finding a way. It also helps that they keep playing teams that are kind of bad. They're playing a lot of bad teams. They played the Orioles for like a couple times, and it really kind of helps you out. Other than that, hype-wise, this is just what happens when you have a rich farm system that is a top 5, top 6 farm system. It's not like the best players. A good farm system isn't made up by just the top tier players that are real good. Like we all knew Gleyber Torres was going to be good. The thing that made it good is the fact that they had all of these players behind Gleyber Torres, behind Clint Frazier, that you'd haven't even heard of that could come up and be a good major league hitter for a couple months while Aaron Judge and Stanton don't play.
Yeah, and obviously you have Andujar out for the season now, apparently. Yeah. That hurts, but
that's why you signed LeMahieu.
Exactly. So, like you said, the depth on the Yankees that's the reason they're accomplishing what they're accomplishing so far this season. Do you think this is going to hold up all year, though? I mean, they're going to get healthier as the year goes on, no doubt. But do you think this is kind of a flash in the pan? Like, what do you see going forward?
I would be more concerned if they continue being injured. The thought of them getting healthier makes me think that they're just a good all-around team that will continue being good. But they can't keep this pace up with this team that they have now.
Right.
Because their pitching is going to go into the summer. And anyone who knows anything about American League East baseball is when it gets to the summer, balls just start flying the heck out of the ballpark, regardless of how good you are in the beginning. We saw it with Severino last year when he got a little tired too. So you need guys to step up, get healthier, and then you can maintain. But because these guys are not going to maintain this pace on, they won like 15 of like 22 at one point. Like they were rolling. Right.
I remember the beginning of the season, everyone was calling for Aaron Boone's head the way things were going, and all of a sudden the Yankees are playing well. What's the talk around Aaron Boone right now? Have you guys bought into Aaron Boone yet? I feel like it's on and off with this guy.
So it is on and off, but the problem is that these like dumb Yankee fans are always yelling about firing Aaron Boone. Realize that Aaron Boone was hired because Brian Cashman wanted more control of the team. He's not actually in control of when pitchers come in or out. He's just a slave to the numbers.
He's a puppet.
Game.
Yeah.
He's a puppet. He's there just because everyone likes him. And I'm totally fine about that. So when you think about it that way, you can't blame or give him full credit for any of this, really. But you have to give credit to the fact that people like him and people want to play for him. And people who are usually happier play better. And that's why I'm always for Aaron Boone. It's the same thing with Cora. Cora's the same way. I mean, he does more maybe, but like people like playing for him, so they're going to try.
Players, managers. That's what it is.
I have a question for you guys. What happens if the Yankees get these guys back, Judge, Stanton, and they come back into the lineup, replacing some of these guys that the fans have grew to love, just because they're gritty. Like you said, they're not trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark, and they start struggling. Will the Yankees fans be calling to bring these guys back in? Like, they're winning with this team if it continues, like a guy like Gio Urshela.
For me, I completely understand that, but you don't pay these guys, these big sluggers, money to sit them. You have to play them through the ups and downs. But the thing you can do in a long season now that you have these guys is you give certain guys rest. You call some up. You move around. You give Frazier more playing time because he's hitting. You give Urshela more playing time. And you can keep these guys maybe healthier for longer because you have a trustworthy Mike Tauchman in right field that might not be the flashiest player, but he might go 2 for 4 with an RBI that will lead you to win at some point. So it allows you more flexibility and depth in your lineup, especially too in September when you get your 40-man call-up as well.
Yeah, and just wait till Jacoby Elsbury comes back too, and then it's all over, right?
Jacoby Elsbury should be shipped off down the river like Homer Bailey. Both down the river. I don't know where they are. With Tim Couch doing shrimp boats in the Caribbean, out of my face forever.
Another thing is the Yankees have they've put these players on display so they can make them trade assets as well. Some of these guys. That is true.
Yeah, that's a big factor.
They want to talk about adding more starting pitching. I think starting pitching has been fine. People are worried because certain pitchers haven't done it all season and Paxton's hurt and stuff like that. But who's offering starting pitching? Like, you're looking around, do I really want Bumgarner, who's been kind of shaky? Do I really want, like all the teams that are struggling? Yeah, that's so one of my questions for the mailbag later is after this draft, they're going to do all the draft stuff. Then they're going to look to like trading and stuff. Is Keuchel a good fit to
For the
eat
Yankees?
some innings. Yeah, eat some innings for the Yankees.
Why wouldn't he be? That's my question. Why wouldn't he be? I think he has to get the season ready. I mean, I don't really know how that works when these guys take this time off, like during the season, if they're actually in shape and can just come back right away, or if they need some time, almost like a spring training of sorts, to come back. Like, I don't really know how that works for these guys. I remember when last year, I think it was Greg Holland, they rushed him back. He signed late. I think it was with the Cardinals. And he was like god awful, and then was released almost immediately. So I wonder how that would work.
What if Kimbrel and Keuchel come back and they're like 50 pounds overweight and they're like, all right, ready to pitch?
Yeah, I don't know.
I have a question. Since we're moving on from that Yankees thing, I have a question for you guys that I was going to ask later, but it makes sense now. I'm going to give you guys a couple like summer dates, and you let me know if Keuchel and Kimbrel are signed before or after that.
All right.
Okay. I will give you first. Memorial Day weekend was my first one, so that's next weekend.
That's next weekend. It'll be after that.
Okay. Father's Day.
Well, let me look at my calendar here.
It's in June. It's middle of June.
What's the deadline? There was a deadline in late
June
May,
16th.
right? Where a team doesn't have to give up draft compensation. So I think mid-June is probably the sweet spot, honestly.
Okay.
Father's Day is June 16th. So
that's a good target date.
I'm gonna go after. I think it would be more towards the end of June.
I think Kimbrel will wait out longer than Keuchel. So we'll see.
We will see. So we talk about the Yankees leading the AL East. Little brief standings update here. We got the Twins leading the Central. We got the Astros leading the West. We got the Phillies leading the NL East. Cubs leading the NL Central. We got the Dodgers leading the West. Is there anything here that stands out? Like, does this look like it could be the end of season standings, or do you think we're going to see a lot of changes?
Yeah, I think in the American League, that's pretty much what you're going to get. I'm not a big fan of Cleveland this year. I think they just have too many injuries and guys underperforming. So I think Minnesota can go on and do that. I'm like sold on their bullpen. I think they'll add too once we get closer to the deadline. Houston's going to win that division. I mean, I think we all can agree on that. In the AL East, this will be a great race between these three teams because I don't think Tampa Bay is going anywhere.
The AL East has gotten so interesting. Beginning of the year, we didn't even know where the Red Sox season was going to take them. The Yankees, all the injuries, that was a question mark, and they've kept in it. They're obviously leading the division now. The Rays, they're sticking there. So I'm very much looking forward to that 3-team race. I think it's not going to be a 2-team race. Like the Rays obviously won 90 games last year, but in the end, they were like 18 games back because the Red Sox and the Yankees were so good. This year, it's a 3-team race. It's going to be a 3-team race, all 162 games. I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, and then the NL, I think it's between Philly and Atlanta. I actually like Atlanta a little bit more now. I just think Philly just doesn't have it to me. I think Atlanta will get better over time. The NL Central is another one where it's going to be, ticker tape finish.
Cubs have gotten so hot in the past month.
Yep. So it always starts heating up. They get at home. They just start hitting home runs. It's one of those things that always happens with the Cubs. Hendricks has been great for them too. And then in the West, I think the Dodgers run away with that. D-backs have been a surprise. They'll probably be in for the wild card, but I don't see any team challenging them.
In the NL East, one thing I do want to say is it's surprising how well the Phillies have done so far this season, with Bryce Harper being the definition of mediocre this year so far. Bryce Harper he hit that bomb. I don't know if you saw that the other day. He went over the batter's eye. Maybe he'll get hot. Like maybe that's the start of something, but he has not been the guy that they thought they were signing. That's for sure. And we saw this coming from a mile away. We know that Bryce Harper he's not worth that kind of, he was never worth that kind of money based on performance. So I'm not exactly surprised by this, but I am surprised that the Phillies are staying atop the NL East, even with him struggling this much. It just goes to show you how talented the rest of that team is outside of Bryce Harper. A lot of people just associate Harper and the Phillies, like the Phillies' success with Harper. There's so many other impact guys on that team.
That's what I was going to say. I think, the make or break with the Phillies is going to be the other guys, not Harper. It's going to be the Seguras. Right. It was going to be the Real Mutos. It was going to be the Hoskins. It's going to be those guys. Harper's, like we've kind of said, he's been disappointing, and he kind of is what he is at this point. He's going to hit bombs every once in a while. He hit another one yesterday, I believe. So if he heats up, they're just going to be one of these teams that tries to outscore people because they're pitching.
If Harper heats up, if Aaron Nola's another guy who's underperforming. If both of those guys heat up, the Phillies are going to run away with this division. It's just a matter of can they? Like Aaron Nola has looked like a shell of himself. If he gets back to ace form, I think he was 4th in Cy Young voting last year. maybe third. I forget which one he was. He was right there in Cy Young voting in the National League. If he gets back to form like that, the Phillies are going to run away with it. The Braves, I know you picked the Braves there. They still need bullpen help. And as we're talking right now, I actually saw something come across the wire with, they just did a trade. But they traded Arodys Vizcaíno for Anthony Swarzak of the Mariners. So it was just kind of
Swarzak's been terrible, dude.
So,
he's been absolutely dog crap.
Yeah. So again, I didn't read too much into that. I just saw it come across the wire. So that's interesting. I mean, they're trying to improve their bullpen in these strange ways. I love the talent on the Braves. I'm just not sold yet. If the Braves sign Kimbrel right now, I might actually side with you, Zach. They just need that guy in the bullpen. That's all.
That's a crazy trade because Vizcaíno was like lights out. Something must be wrong with his arm. I think he's had arm issues. And one guy to look out for with the Braves, Austin Riley. They've called him up, I think, a couple weeks ago. He is a big time hitter. He's going to be great for them.
Yep. Yeah, he's already exploding on the scene. I'll be honest, I didn't know who this guy was. And then all of a sudden he hit his first career homer, I think, in his first game. He hit another one. I don't know if you saw it. It hit off the top of the wall. Probably should have been a home run, and it wasn't. And then he just hit another one yesterday. So he's on a roll too. I mean, like we talk so much about like Vlad Jr. and all those guys. There's so much other young talent out there, and it's fun to watch. It really is. Another thing that was fun to watch was the beef between Yasiel Puig and Madison Bumgarner. We added another chapter there. Bumgarner let up an absolute bomb to Yasiel Puig, which never gets old. Nothing. I think that might be my favorite batter pitcher little rivalry. There aren't many others out there, to be honest. I know another one's Mike Fiers versus Giancarlo Stanton. That's always a fun one. But this one's particularly fun because there's serious bad blood. These guys hate each other. So what happened was Puig hits a bomb off Bumgarner. Nothing on the field happened. Puig actually was pretty mild-mannered with the whole thing, surprisingly. Trots around the bases like a normal person, but Bumgarner obviously he was salty after the game. He said it only took him 7 years to learn how to hit that pitch. So salty Bumgarner is back. I love it. I give me all of the Puig versus Bumgarner matchups. There's no better pitcher batter matchup in the game.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you that I thought Puig was going to pimp this one just because people have been doing that. And he didn't really, but Bumgarner and Puig are just a perfect match. I would watch a reality show with them, just put them in a house and just let them deal with each other. I would love to watch that.
Yeah.
They may become friends.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Puig and Bumgarner.
Oh my God. It's like Robin Big, but it's Puig and Bumgarner.
We should do a graphic with that.
That's good. That's good. So staying on Bumgarner here, his no trade list came out, consists of all of the best teams in baseball. It has everybody confused because these are the teams that A, are going to be able to bid for Bumgarner's services, and B, that would be the best fits for Bumgarner because they're all the contenders, and you would think that Madison Bumgarner would want to go to a contender. So everyone's confused about this. His no trade list consists of the Houston Astros, Atlanta Braves, Milwaukee Brewers, St. Louis Cardinals, Chicago Cubs, Philadelphia Phillies, Boston Red Sox, New York Yankees. So again, all of the best teams in the sport. There's two sides to this. One, it's the money grab aspect. Bumgarner can actually negotiate with the Giants, be like, hey, you can send me to the Astros if you want, but you better give me this payout. The other side of it is maybe he's just scared to go to a big market team. I think it's the first of those two. Graz, you said it might be the second. He might not want to be in a big market. Explain that side for the people who might not know the backstory there.
So my idea is there was all these rumors when the Yankees were trying to like asking questions about Bumgarner, that this mountain man that he is, this mountain bike riding environment kind of log cabin living, Madison Bumgarner would not thrive in an environment like New York, like not even living outside this, like not even in the city, but outside the city too. Like you have to get pretty far away in New York to get away from everything and get into the wilderness, where he would not feel so overwhelmed by the day-to-day city life. So all those teams that you listed all are from larger cities in America. So I don't know if he wants to like get away from the urban environment. I understand San Francisco is a big city, but my understanding as an East Coaster, just talking to people from there, is that you can easily go and get away into the wilderness, unlike a lot of those cities that we were talking about on that list. Might not be right, but Just a
Yeah,
theory.
I mean, there's a lot of theories out there. The one that I read on MLB.com was straight up Bumgarner has the power now. Like if he gets if he wants to go somewhere, but they're about to send him to the Braves, he could be like, all right, fine, I'll waive this no trade, but you got to give me this. Like he has power over the organization now. So that's what I think it is. I think it might be maybe it's a combination of both. It really could. Like maybe he's willing to go to those places, but those aren't really at the top of his list because he's not a big market guy. I don't know. Bumgarner's a weird guy. It's always something with him. There's always something weird that comes out with Bumgarner every year that makes you just kind of shake your head. One thing I will say is Bumgarner would have an ERA probably over 10 on the Yankees. I can't see him shaving that beard and cutting his hair, and he'd look like a completely different person. He wouldn't be Bumgarner anymore. No.
I'm with you, Justin, on the money grab thing, because I think this is like a cool type of like contract negotiation. Because when we think of no trade clause, we think of, oh, this guy doesn't want to go to these places, which it might be that from Bumgarner, but he puts that payout clause in that says, all right, you can send me to these places, but you have to pay me $2 million to do so. And the Giants might be so ripe to get rid of him, and the package might be so good from the Astros, right, Yankees, Red Sox, Phillies that they end up doing it. So I think it's a cool thing. I have never really heard of a situation like this where a guy ties that into his no trade clause. So I think maybe more guys will try to do that fit that Bumgarner type of a personality.
Yeah, I mean, Bumgarner clearly sees the writing on the wall here. He knows, I mean, the way the Giants are trending, he's out of here sooner rather than later. I thought it was going to be 2 seasons ago, for being honest. But it looks like this year is probably the year there. Where do you think he ends up? He gets traded at the deadline. Where's he going? I think we've asked this question before, by the way.
Yeah.
But what's the update here? I mean, things change with the wind in baseball. I want to know, like, what's the update if you had to pick a team?
Yeah, if I had to pick one team in the AL, one team in the NL, I would go in the AL. I will go with the Astros. In the NL, I will go with the Phillies.
Okay. I will go in the AL. You know what? I said it would be weird to see him in the Yankees. I'm actually going to pick the Yankees. I think this is a move the Yankees might actually end up needing to make, and they have the assets to do so. In the NL, I believe I went with the Brewers. It was either the Brewers or the Cardinals. The Brewers desperately need a frontline starter. I'll go with the Brewers. All right. So we'll move on to another frontline starter in Chris Sale. He had the 17 strikeout game against, I forget who it was. Can you remind me who it was that he struck out 17? Was it the Orioles?
Oh, yeah. No, the Rockies. The Rockies.
Fuck, you're right. Okay, so it was the Rockies. So, again, a team that's been struggling hitting so far this season, so it comes with a grain of salt there. Either way, it's 17 strikeouts. You can't scoff at 17 strikeouts. So Chris Sale looked like Chris Sale in that game. I think he's officially, quote-unquote, back. Do you think he is back?
Yeah, I definitely think he's back. His velocity's back up to that 94, 95 range. I know he pitched versus the Astros last night, and he was kind of a little bit wild. But that was a good test because the Astros, to me, are the best lineup in baseball. So I think he'll keep getting better over the season. It's one of those things like that. I think Shane Bieber for the Indians struck out 15 yesterday. It just shows you that in baseball right now, it's like a swing and miss league.
Yep.
Like guys are swinging for the fences. They're trying to hit the home runs. So it gives the guys the ability to rack up these Ks. And if Sale has his A-plus stuff, he's almost impossible to hit. That's what a lot of the Rockies guys were saying after the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's night and day between the Sale that we're seeing right now and the Sale that started off the season. It's not the same pitcher. I mean, he was clearly bothered by something to begin the year. I think he's all the way back. Now it's a matter of, hey, can you do this post-July? You've never been able to do this after July. Let's see it at the end of the year. You better perform at the end of the year because the whole point of you being slow to start the season was, to keep you preserved for the second half when it's actually going to matter. Now you better do that because if you can't perform in September, October, there's going to be a problem. There's going to be a lot more questions there already are a lot of questions around Sale's durability. It's going to get worse and worse, especially after you sign this guy to a big time extension like that. So the verdict is still out on Chris Sale overall. This extension, if he sucks in September and October, it's going to be, this extension might come back to bite the Red Sox. We'll put it that way. We'll cruise right along here. Chris Bryant, 3 home run game the other night for the Cubs. He was actually, I haven't heard much of Bryant over the last probably, honestly, season and a half. He hasn't fallen off the map. He's still producing, but this is a guy who won the MVP not too long ago, and he's starting to look like his MVP self again. So that's, I mean, a big reason why the Cubs are red hot. Then you have Cody Bellinger hitting still above 400 with 18 homers for the Dodgers. Christian Yelich is still raking. Mike Trout's still raking. All of baseball stars appear to be still like they're not falling off the map as the season goes on. These guys are going to be all in the running for their respective MVP awards at the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Bryant for me, I think he was working on a lot of mechanical stuff with his swing. I think he's finally figured that stuff out. A lot of these guys just sort of heat up with the weather too. Like Chris Bryant, it was cold in Chicago. Now he's hot. Bellinger has been crazy. But
what Bellinger's doing is video game type stuff. We talk a lot about Christian Yelich. Cody Bellinger, I feel like, has almost been under the radar a little bit, at least compared to Yelich. I mean, every time Yelich hits a home run, it's like, oh my God, Christian Yelich does it again. He only has one more homer than Cody Bellinger, and Bellinger's still batting above 400. So people need to start paying more attention to him.
Bellinger's younger too. Like he's a couple years younger, and Trout, still Mike Trout. Still the best player in baseball. So
it is crazy because he's up there. He has stats that are already up there with like Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, like Mickey Mantle, and he's 27 years old, and no one is talking about him. People are talking about Yelich and Bellinger, which is awesome for the sport. Get as many names popularized as you can in baseball. But Jesus Christ, give Mike Trout a little bit of credit here. What he's doing is unlike anything we've ever seen.
I was talking to someone the other day, and they have this like crazy theory that people like watching lefties hit more. That's why these guys are sort of going to the forefront, because people just like seeing lefties because they have sweeter swings. It's one of those things where they just promote that. Like Harper, you have to watch every one of his home runs.
I never thought about that.
Bellinger. It's kind of crazy. Like Ken Griffey Jr. was one of the things. Like you need to see every home run he hit, so it's so majestic.
Spur of the moment question here: who do you think? Not the best righty in baseball, best right-handed hitter, but the most popular right-handed hitter in baseball right now.
The most popular right-handed
hitter. Pick one. I have my pick. It's a tie between two for me. It's probably Nolan Arenado and Javi Baez if I had to pick two. I can't think of really another off the top of my head that's like popular.
Like a swing itself?
No, not a swing, just a player who's like beloved. Like a popular, like a face of baseball type. Maybe Mookie Betts, but I wouldn't even say
Judge. Aaron Judge can see TV every time he's up.
Yeah, you know what? I kind of forgot about Judge a little bit, only because he's hurt.
Like, yeah,
no. In a while, but yeah, you're right. I mean, there are a few, but I do see what you're saying, Zach. Like the lefties seem to get most of the publicity, and I get what you're saying. It's a sweeter swing. It's a more violent swing from Harper, for example. Like Harper has a signature swing. Most righties have the same kind of follow through, same kind of swing.
Yeah. I like watching lefties hit more, and that's just my preference. But to me, like Michael Chavis, I like watching his swing.
So
he just unleashes it.
I was at Saturday's game, and Michael Chavis hits balls. Like even if it's like a ground out, he's hitting that thing 105 miles per hour. It is a joy to watch. Like this guy's he's barreling the ball every single time he sees it.
Yep.
Another fun to watch guy, Chris Paddack. I don't know if you guys have really tuned into many Padres games this year, but I've made an effort to watch some of Chris Paddack's starts, and this guy's the real deal. He has the whole, like he has that swagger to him. So I like what I'm seeing out of Paddack so far this year. He has a 1.99 ERA. He's not going to be in the Cy Young running at the end of the year, which sucks because he's going to have an innings limit. Like they're treating him a lot like the Nationals treated Strasburg. Either way, I mean, this is a guy who had Tommy John 3 years ago, so you got to kind of preserve that arm. Either way, I'm loving what I'm seeing out of Chris Paddack.
Yeah, when I watch highlights of him pitch, the first guy that came to mind for me was Garrett Cole.
I can see that too, actually.
He's just a power pitcher. They kind of look alike, which helps. But yeah, it's not like, some of these guys come in and they have like great performances versus terrible teams like Bieber did yesterday, 15 strikeouts versus the Orioles. Right. It's like great, but he's been facing really good teams. He faced the Dodgers, pitched well versus the Dodgers, Mets, Atlanta, Seattle, who can hit, Cincinnati, who can hit. Like he's faced good teams that can hit, and he's stood up to the challenge. So yeah, definitely got to watch. And Padres need all the pitching they can get because their starting staff is pretty abhorrent.
I think every day I log on to Twitter and I see a headline that says the Padres are looking for a frontline starter. It's like, yeah, we know. We know they are. Like, you don't need to tell us.
Them?
Yeah, we've been saying this for years now. They need pitching. And I mean, Chris Paddack is that guy. It's just they're not going to have him the length of the season. And I know they're probably not going to contend this year. Let's be real. They're not going to probably make it into the playoffs this year. But a year or two down the road, this is a team that is in a position to do so. So they're going to need Paddack. Full, not 150 innings. They're going to need like a 200 inning season out of Paddack. They're going to need another guy to go alongside Paddack in that rotation. And then we'll be talking about the Padres a little bit more.
Yeah.
So on to our duds of the month. So I will start here first. And I've been dying to vent about this guy. I think I vent about this guy at least once a month. It's Jackie Bradley Jr. He's batting 144. He does not have a homer on the season. He's hitting he has an OPS of 421. Yeah, he's still making the catches out in center field. It's just, when is this guy's bat going to come around? I think the answer to that is never. We thought maybe in the ALCS, he obviously gets ALCS MVP, and it's a little bit promising. You know, like maybe this is a guy who's working on his swing all throughout spring training. You think, all right, this is the year. He's going to break out, at least hit 250. He's hitting 144, Zach. He's hitting 144.
Yeah, when do the Red Sox make a decision?
Lately, I mean, Cora says it's because of matchups, like against Garrett Cole, who's a righty. Jackie Bradley Jr. was sitting. Usually Jackie Bradley Jr., if he sits, it's against lefties. So this kind of raised eyebrows a little bit, like, oh, maybe Cora's finally coming around, realizing that Jackie Bradley Jr. probably needs to be on the bench more often. Cora said that it was just a bad matchup versus Garrett Cole. So I don't know. I just hope either A, Bradley turns it around like today, or B, they start benching this guy more. They just can't have this guy in the line. I don't care if he's batting ninth. They can't have him in the lineup. He's not hitting. He's hitting 144. I don't know how many times I could say it. You could bring up a guy from AAA right now, and he will hit at least 210. You can't have a guy hitting 144.
Bring up Rusney Castillo. Yeah. He's been drilling it in AAA.
Like they'll ever do that.
Yeah. Jesus, crazy. It's a great dud, and it's definitely been frustrating for Red Sox fans. My dud of the month is Chris Archer. So I think we can all agree that maybe the worst trade in baseball history, you know, we'll find out a couple more years down the road, was Chris Archer for Austin Meadows and Glasnow. I think that might be the worst trade in Major League Baseball history, because Archer has been absolutely terrible for the Pirates. I think he has like a 6 ERA, 2-3. You know, this guy was gotten by the Pirates to be their ace for the next couple of years, and they gave away two studs in their farm system who are killing it for the Rays right now. So it even adds insult to injury that Archer's been bad for the Pirates thus far this season.
So, I mean, I agree. It's a terrible trade. The one thing I will say is, like, Glasnow was pretty bad for the Pirates when he was there. They should have waited on him a little bit more, but he did not look like their top prospect when he was there. Now, obviously, hindsight's 2020. I mean, that trade stinks to look back at now. It stinks. So, good dud. Chris Archer, I've never really been high on Chris Archer, ever. I mean, he had his years with the Rays. I've never been a Chris Archer guy. I don't know why. I mean, he does have swagger on the mound. He's fun to watch in that way. He's a fiery competitor. Just never been a Chris Archer guy. Not sure why.
Yeah, me neither. I think it's just because he doesn't have like overpowering stuff. Or doesn't anymore. You know, he's like 92 now, and he needed that velocity to be effective. So
on to when you're hot. You're hot.
Time out. Wait.
Oh.
Just going on the worst trade ever. The Red Sox did trade Babe Ruth for cash, and that is it.
Wasn't it something about like a play or something? Like it was something to do with like a play. Like there was a play that the owner wanted to go to. I don't know. I don't want to get into all that, but yeah, it was a bad trade.
I'm just throwing it out there that.
Have you seen Austin Meadows, man? He's better than Babe Ruth.
All I'm saying is they traded him for. They didn't even get. At least they got Chris Archer bad. The Red Sox literally just got a sack of cash.
So since the Yankees have Adam Ottavino now, do you believe him that he could strike out Babe Ruth in his prime?
There's a whole theory of mine that all of these old players would not be able to hit today. which is a ridiculous theory. I think Babe Ruth still would have hit 500 home runs, but 700 seems unlikely to me.
Imagine Babe Ruth trying to hit Adam Ottavino's slider. Dude has not seen movement like that.
No. They were throwing
what is this guy doing to the ball?
Yeah, they were throwing like 87 miles an hour straight.
Straight down the plate. Did not know how to paint it.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. We'll move on to when you're hot here. I actually have a Pirate. So you had a Pirate on your dud list. I got a Pirate on my when you're hot. I got Josh Bell. When you're hot. And speaking of the Pirates, they're 24-20 all of a sudden. I thought their season went to shit. They still have a winning record. When did this happen? I don't know when this.
It's crazy. Their pitching has been decent. Their closer is unreal. Vasquez. God, yeah. They call him the Nightmare. That might be one of my favorite nicknames.
That's good. But another guy is Josh Bell. He's hitting .333 in the season, 14 homers. He's got an OPS of 1.101. I don't know how sustainable this is, but he's a reason why the Pirates are still hanging tough in that division. Don't expect it to last, and I've been saying that all along, but, I mean, you got to give credit where credit is due. Josh Bell is on fire right now.
Yeah. I think everyone saw the brute power when he first came up, but they're like, he needs better plate discipline. He needs to be able to hit for average. He's doing both this year. So he's been fun to watch. He's a guy, switch hitter too. And he has he's good from both sides, which you don't find a lot with a lot of switch hitters.
Yep.
My when you're hot. We discussed him with Maria Torres.
Little plug. Listen to our last episode if you didn't hear our awesome interview with her. Maria Torres, beat writer for the LA Times. She covers the Angels. Listen to that episode now on Spotify. Go to Spotify and listen to it. Give us a little Spotify download. But go ahead,
That's a
Zach.
Professional plug. Yeah. So mine's Tommy La Stella. He's putting up similar numbers to Josh Bell, honestly, which is crazy. Like if you put those guys side by side, you're like, all right, like they don't have close to the same statistics and power numbers. La Stella's been great for the Angels. Maria Torres told us that he's playing every day, so he just feels like he's in the groove more, which makes sense. And he's hitting for power, which is crazy for a guy his size. So my when you're hot, it's Tommy La Stella, the hottest he's ever been right now.
It's crazy. And again, these are two guys who knows if it's sustainable, but they've given us no reason why it couldn't be. I mean, they've been great all season long. So, and that's the epitome of a when you're hot, you're hot. I mean, it's just Josh Bell and Tommy La Stella. We're not talking about Mookie Betts here. We're not talking about any of these stars. We're talking about Josh Bell and Tommy La Stella tearing the cover off the ball. So
yeah, it could end today.
No, it could. Yeah, they could hit 100 for the rest of the year. At least they have a when you're hot award. When you're hot, you're hot award on this very podcast.
Exactly.
Let's get into Graz's mailbag. Graz, what do you got for us?
Here's the mail, it never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to wail.
Simple question to start. Who, other than Vladimir Guerrero Jr., is the most exciting, biggest star potential for a young player right now?
So, in my opinion, it's someone we already talked about, Chris Paddack. That's a guy I'm really heavy on. I like seeing young pitching. There's a lot of great young hitters. There's really not a lot of great like young great
That's
pitchers.
A good point. That's
so
a great point.
I like seeing Paddack with a 1.99 ERA out of nowhere. He's a top prospect, but he was psyched. I remember his I think it was Andy Green came out to the mound and he was like, "Hey, you made this in spring training. Hey, you made the team." And that was a pretty cool viral moment, like of him telling Chris Paddack as he went to go take the ball from him that he's on the team. So ever since that moment, I've been high on Paddack.
Yeah, Paddock's the great one. For pitching, that has to be him. For hitting, I think it's the Austin Riley guy we brought up earlier for the Braves is going to be good. And then Pete Alonso for the Mets. I mean, that guy hits absolute line drives of home runs. Like he's a right-handed hitter I would pay to see, just the way he hits the ball.
So I like the Pete Alonso pick. I think he's a guy who flies under the radar for some reason. Outside of New York, anyway, he flies under the radar. Another guy I'll pick here is Michael Chavis. I know it's a little homerism, but I mean, like we were just talking about, this guy's been tearing the cover off the ball. I think he has. I might be mistaken on this. I think he only has one less or two less homers than JD Martinez, and he has more homers than Mookie Betts this year. So, and he's in much less playing time too.
Yep.
And he's making the loss of Dustin Pedroia. Like, I don't care what happens with Dustin Pedroia at this point. Like, Chavis is here to stay.
Yeah.
Dustin Pedroia is on the same boat that Jacoby Elsbury and Homer Bailey are going to be on down the river. Ship them down the river.
Picked up by the Marlins, and they all start.
I'll say this. I don't like the Dustin Pedroia slander. There's a lot of Dustin Pedroia slander from Boston fans saying the guy should retire, which, first off, if he retires, he's leaving like $60 million on the table. So that's not going to happen. But people are forgetting what this guy did for Boston over the course of his career. That's what I don't like. That's the one thing about Boston fans. And actually, I think it probably goes for New York fans too. They're loyal to a fault until you're not helping them like in the moment. All of a sudden you're just like, okay, thanks for nothing. Like, see you later. Go enjoy retirement. I think that's kind of bullshit.
They're doing the same thing with Eli. I know it's a different sport, but
yeah,
they're like, oh yeah, he didn't do anything for this franchise. I'm like, you're a ridiculous person. All right.
Only 2 Super Bowls. No big deal.
You mentioned the Marlins. We have a Marlins voicemail.
I love it.
I'm so excited about it. Tito, thank you so much for calling in. Tito is a Miami native, the only Marlins fan other than the Marlins man. So here's that wonderful voicemail.
Hey, how's it going? Big Marlins guy. Big sweep over the Mets this past weekend. Sandy Koufax Alcantara with a complete game shutout, 8 strikeouts, doing it big. Marlins best pitcher. Just want to ask you guys, who do you think on the Marlins right now has the highest potential to be a potential Cy Young winner? And then after that, what do you think of a guy like Lewis Brinson being sent down to the minors by the Marlins? And what's the outlook for the Marlins in 5 years? What's their 5-year window? I'll hang up and listen. Thanks.
Who is the potential Cy Young winner from the Marlins? What do you think?
And I'm assuming that's long term, right?
Yeah.
Not this season.
Yeah, like long term. What do you think about Sandy? What you listened to it?
Yeah, Sandy Alcantara. I don't know again, I'm not a pronouncing guy. I'm not a good pronunciation guy, but yeah, Sandy Alcantara. And then he also asked about Lewis Brinson, who's been struggling, being sent down to the minors. And he had like 6 questions here. The other one is outlook, 5-year outlook for the Marlins. Let's start first with the potential Cy Young winners. Sandy Alcantara, maybe in the future. I mean, this is a guy who's an up-and-coming star. I think he came over I might be mistaken here. I think he came over from the Cardinals. The other guy I would say is Caleb Smith. I think this is a guy who people need to start paying attention to. I think this guy's the real deal.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know a ton about the Marlins, so those sound great to me.
Genuine answer. Honestly, we're very genuine. We're not going to pretend we know these guys. I can't pronounce names. Zach doesn't even know who's on the Marlins, which is 100% acceptable. So
I did some research.
That's our answer.
Alcantara is the second Marlins pitcher ever to throw a complete game with less than 90 pitches. Complete game shutout.
Yeah, he shut out the Mets the other day, right? Yeah. So that was good for him.
Yeah, good for him.
So I guess the real question after listening to that wonderful voicemail is, where do you see the Marlins in 5 years? Do you see them getting better? That's the real thing.
You skipped like 3 of the questions in this voicemail. Can we talk about Lewis Brinson quick?
You did some research on Lewis Brinson before this. So
yeah, I did a little bit of Lewis Brinson. I did my research for this one. Lewis Brinson is basically Jackie Bradley Jr. 2.0, so without the defensive ability. So send him down. Let him get back. Let him get his bearings back.
To answer your 5-year question, guys, it's like when you ask someone who has no idea what they're doing currently, what they're going to do in where do you see yourself in 5 years? It's like the Marlins have no idea. The Marlins don't have a plan. That's a great way to put it. Yeah, like they just don't have an idea what they're doing. We talk about all this good young talent. We never talk about those players on the Marlins. So they just got to get these draft picks and hit on them. That's what they need to do at this point.
They just need to win games. That's my opinion.
Win, baby.
Win some ball games.
Curtis Granderson.
Yep. Curtis Granderson. Yeah. Yep. That's about it. That's my Marlins take. Any other questions?
Yeah. Thanks, Tito, for calling in. Anyone calls in?
Thanks,
Tito. Shout out. Yeah, a real shout out. What else do I think I got one more good question here. Yeah, simple. Talking about AL East race. Will your Red Sox make the playoffs?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think so too. But
AL is so weak. I mean, it's got its main teams. Maybe a couple surprises will happen. The Red Sox aren't going to miss the playoffs. They're just not. There's too much talent. They got Chavis now, by the way.
I'm not so sure. I'm honestly not so sure.
Chavis is the good luck charm. He's got that 11-11 thing going that he tweets out every day. It's the most obnoxious thing in the world, but I love it. So I think Michael Chavis was the spark to turn this thing around.
How about when we had Maria Torres on? The Angels have been great since we had her on. So if you want your team to succeed, feel free to come on the podcast. We're good
That's
luck
true.
charms in that sense.
Yeah, good plug there.
We're gonna have a huge Marlins turnaround now.
Yeah, one of the Marlins going like a 10-game turnaround.
Yeah,
If the Marlins go on a hot streak, it's fate.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's the tater. We used to actually have, back when we were named the EFIS, way back in the day, we had the EFIS curse. Like if anyone was brought up on the EFIS, they would immediately start being terrible. We might have turned that around. We might have flipped the switch on that one,
which is a good thing.
God. Okay, last question. Is it infuriating that the Yankees keep finding diamonds in the rough over and over again and find ways to win as Red Sox fans?
Oh,
Because
yeah, I mean, obviously,
Mike Hoffman is awesome, and Gio Show is awesome, and that must stink.
It does stink, but part of me just thinks there's no way they can keep this up, right? Like, there's no way. Like, they're going to regress at some point, right? You would have to believe so. I would hope so, but who knows? I mean, the Yankees. I can't say anything bad about what the Yankees are done. You have to commend them for what they've done.
Because I think this is what the Red Sox do. Like they pick up Steve Pearce and he ends up being the MVP of the World Series. Like it's one. It used to be a Red Sox thing, and I'm almost. It pains me to say this. I'm glad the Yankees are realizing they don't have to hit 1,000,000 home runs to win games. They can get guys that just hit for average and use all parts of the ballpark, and they can win games that way. And yeah, it's not frustrating to me. I'm almost like glad they're opening their eyes to seeing this. Now, I don't want them to win, but I think it's good that they're actually seeing you can win a different way.
Is Tulo dead yet, Graz?
Tulo is currently building the ship that Jacoby Elsbury is going to get shipped off.
Okay. All right.
If you're wondering.
That ship's going to add up, man. Yeah.
It's a bigger ship than expected. We're going to need some more employees. Pedroia's on it now. Homer Bailey. I'm trying to think who else. Maybe Albert Pujols is now on that ship.
Pujols is hurt?
No, he's just awful.
Yeah, didn't he get his? That's another little nugget of news. Didn't he get his like 2,500th RBI or something in his career?
That was cool.
So that was cool. And the guy who caught the ball like wouldn't give it back. You have to be kind of an asshole. You got to be kind of an asshole.
It was. I don't know if you guys saw a picture of him. He looked like the perfect Tigers fan. It was just who I expect to be at a Tigers day game.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Detroit. This is just a question for me. Who are you not giving the ball back to? You catch a home run, and like a let's say not 500. That's a big home run, but like their 300th career home run you catch. Who are you not giving that ball to? I'm not. Mookie Betts hits that to me. Get the hell out of here. I need an entire Lansdowne parade to get that.
I think I got one, and it's not even really someone I feel that strongly about. It's just someone who I wouldn't feel obligated to give it back. Ryan Braun, he kind of seems like a dickhead, so I probably wouldn't give it back to him. That'd be my pick. I can't think of anyone else that I hate.
I would say Edwin Encarnacion, so he'll just stop doing the fucking parrot thing.
He runs around with his arm up. Okay, you know what? Here's the deal. I'll give you this if you stop doing that parrot thing. We'll see.
Yeah,
hold it ransom.
I'll hold it ransom for the parrot thing to stop.
I actually. When I was younger, I used to hate so many players. I don't really have that same kind of hatred towards anyone, which kind of stinks. I wish I hated someone as much as I hated players back then.
I hate Brett Gardner and Adam Wainwright. Those are two of my.
I do hate Brett Gardner. I don't hate Wainwright that much. He's kind of irrelevant to me.
Brett
Gardner, he just looks like the type of person I would want to punch in the face.
You got room on that boat for Adam Wainwright? Just
this boat's pretty big. I'm in. Whatever. We can build it as what Tulo's working on it. So
what about you, Darvish? Has you, Darvish, earned the right to be on that boat yet?
Or no, Nick Pavetta. I was told he was going to be good. Fantasy Graz. You thought he was going to be good. Guy stinks.
Nick Pavetta.
I love that guy.
Yeah, love him. How about this? Do you got I can't believe these young kids at these stadiums who catch a home run ball, and the fans make them throw it back.
Oh, never. I would never.
That is insane. I would never throw back a home run ball if I caught it.
Oh, I don't know. If it's like the ALCS
that's a
against the Yankees,
that's a keepsake.
If Giancarlo Stanton hits a bomb straight at you in a big moment in the ALCS, you're throwing that thing back. Come on.
Yeah.
If you would be pissed.
Peer pressure. You get peer pressured.
If it's at Fenway, I think you throw it back.
If I didn't get peer pressure to do heroin, I'm not throwing the goddamn ball back. Get the hell out of here. I guess it's differently rivalry.
It's like the same thing, right?
Yeah, it's almost the same thing. But like, if I'm playing the Angels and Trout hits a home run to me, I'm keeping that. Like, that's like a real person. But Red Sox,
you would have to be a sociopath to throw back a Mike Trout home run.
Hey, Mike Trout, screw you.
Fucking asshole.
Dude,
Mike Trout.
Even like Pujols, like someone historic. Like, I would love that's a Pujols home run ball.
Yeah. You have to be like, that guy's a dickhead for not giving Pujols has been a stand-up guy throughout his career.
Maybe I'd catch it and like pocket it real quick and be like, "Where's the ball? Like, who caught it?"
Yeah,
I try to pull that really quick.
Just bring an extra baseball.
On the other side, like, what do they negotiate? Like from Pujols' side, I know they like negotiate tickets and shit like that when stuff like this happens.
Probably.
They wouldn't give straight up cash, you think? Like if that guy was like, "I want $5,000 cash from you right now," you don't think Pujols would do it?
Picture the Detroit kid and like his fucking shitbag friends in a dark alley, and Albert Pujols and his associates walk up with like a briefcase and they open it. It's filled with money.
I am saving this question for next week. You guys have 2 weeks to think about it. Submit if you're listening to the show. Tweet the show. Your best ideas. I'll go through if there are any. Instagram us, DM us. What would be the worst thing that someone could ask for for a ball back? Worst.
And we're not answering this right now.
We're not going to answer. We'll answer it next week. I'll come up with one
teaser.
Too. Like worst thing. So like an example would be like, yeah, I want like just like 6 broomsticks. Like what is the worst possible thing you could think of?
Pack of cigarettes.
Yeah. Something like that.
Smokes.
Okay. All right.
I want Albert Pujols to drive my kids to daycare every day for a week.
Do you think he'd do it? Say Pujols. I mean, obviously this isn't going to happen, but say any player breaks the single season home run record, and you have the ball, and you're like, nah, like I'm not giving this back unless you drive my kid to daycare for the next month. Do you think they'd do it?
I would. I sure as heck would.
If
If it has to be him, that's pretty interesting. If it can't be like one of his lackeys to do it.
No, it has to be you.
It's got to be you. Yeah.
You guys like, dude, I got a game that night. Don't care. Do
you want the ball or not, man?
Got to be there.
He might hire he might hire like burglars to break in and get the ball.
Yeah, maybe.
So that's the question. Please submit
something to think about.
I'll read the best answers next week or 2 weeks.
Okay, yeah. So tweet us at Tater Talk Pod with those answers to that great question. Do we have a Graz's one last thing?
Graz's one last thing is a 2-parter. Domingo Germán could win the Cy Young this year if he continues what he's doing. There's no one that's proved himself better as a better Yankee. And 2, my fantasy team is 5-2. I have no idea how. Go Graz's fantasy team. Go Trevor Story. That's it.
I guess we should maybe plug, since you mentioned the fantasy team, we should plug Thrive Fantasy here. We have, I don't really know how to plug this because I don't have the link right off it. So I'm just going to go off the top here. Thrive Fantasy. We have links on our Twitter account. If you can go find that, or you go to theledgesports.com when this episode is posted. We have links to sign up for Thrive Fantasy. It's a daily fantasy thing where you can go on there and do all your daily fantasy stuff. You go on there, throw $10 in. You're good to go. It's fun. Daily fantasy. Have a blast. Thrive Fantasy. Have fun. Thrive Fantasy. Have fun. I mean,
I'd click on it. It was good.
If Thrive Fantasy wants to pay me for just giving them their new slogan, have fun. I mean, there you go. There's your new slogan. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Is that all we got? Oh, Domingo Germán, by the way,
he's
not going to win Cy Young. That's like me saying Josh Bell is going to win MVP because he's off to a hot start.
Okay.
They always regress.
I'll see you at the end.
I'll see you at the end.
Wait, last thing. Last thing. The Marlins stink, but the Orioles will finish in last. I'm confident. How are we doing in that?
We still have that dollar, but it's double or nothing, so I'll kind of just get my dollar back, I think.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Actually, no, I'll get double. That's what double or nothing is. Never mind. Yeah. Okay. So we'll leave it there. Thanks for listening. I don't want to guarantee anything, but I believe we have an interview lined up for Friday this week. So that's something to keep tabs on. Again, no guarantees, but that is the plan as of right now. Stay tuned for that. We will see you guys later.
Peace.
What is good is